I dated a man for almost 6 years, and the number one insult he would tell me was that I was acting like his mom. And whenever he would say that, I would feel so bad and apologetic, like immediately. I would just apologize for overstepping any boundary, being too pushy about things. I just feel so bad. Now that it's been a couple of years and I'm just kind of reflecting on that whole relationship, I feel like he's the one that owes me an apology. Oh my gosh, T.
I must have missed 60 minutes. What are you saying?
Okay, so it sounds to me like this man had a bad relationship with his mother. It's sad, but it happens sometimes. And if he's telling you that you are acting like his mother, it is not intended as an insult. It is a boundary, letting you know that you're crossing into territory that makes him feel uncomfortable. And when that happens, you should apologize and be mindful that this guy might be working on some issues that stem from decades worth of mistreatment from the one person who's supposed to love him unconditionally. But even when given that kind of information, you still figure out a way to take his personal issues and make it about you. Because may the intergalactic space god Rumblorbichard, all hail, forbid that anybody else suffers through life more than you.
And let me tell you why. Because if he had his act together, I would not need to mother this grown man-child. I should not be reminding you to go to your midterm exam. I should not be telling you when your college applications are due. You should know that. You should be doing that. If you want something, you're gonna have to do it. I'll support you, but I'm not gonna push you. I'm not gonna do the research for you. I'm not gonna give you the resources in your hands. Reflecting on it just makes me want to scream, because at the end of the day, he was a man-child and I was just way too nice. Let me know if you've experienced anything like that.
Man, that's just mean. That's mean, man.
No, woman, you weren't nice. In fact, you were the polar opposite of nice. This man confided in you in one of his traumas, and your first instinct was to just assume that he needed you to mother him. If anything, he just wants you to be kind and supportive, but you're incapable of doing that. Doing so would require you to do some work, and you're so worthless that you expect men to do all of the work before getting involved with you, while you don't hold yourself to the same standard. This man clearly has some legitimate trauma from a bad childhood, and those types of things take a lot of time to resolve, and yet you claim that he traumatized you, and then you insult him for not working through his issues fast enough. And that makes you more of a child than he could ever be. Now, I would tell you to go grow up, but considering you're insulting a man with trauma, I really don't think that's possible. You actually have to be a person in order to do that.
You know that. Of course I do, sir. Everybody knows that. Of course we do, sir.
A good man can still be bad for you. It is so easy to assume that when we say that men can ruin women's lives, we are only talking about toxic men who disrespect women, when that is not true. Good men who have different expectations for relationships than you do, who have morals and values that don't align with yours, who want to live a certain lifestyle that you are not interested in. Those men are also a danger to your life.
I'll just move to North Korea. I'll just move to North Korea. Okay? Okay. I'll just move to North Korea.
Right, so in other words, it's not all men, but it's still all men. You have set the game so that no matter what the man does, he will never win with you. He could be a good man with a strong moral compass who just wants to be in a good relationship with you, only for you to turn around and say that if his morals and goals don't align with yours, then he is still a danger to your life. What kind of thinking is that? It just goes to show that it doesn't matter what a man does, he will always be the scapegoat, so the woman doesn't have to take any accountability whatsoever for her actions. Plus, she gets the added benefit of a social media echo chamber who will reinforce this idea that if a man doesn't fit into her oddly specific and delusional set of standards, then it's totally fine to treat him like dirt just so long as she feels happy. Well, I hate to break it to you, sister, but it doesn't work that way. And it never will, no matter how hard you try to spin it.
Which brings me to my next point, which is that having this mindset that all men are trash while still being open to the idea of being in a relationship in the future is doing a disservice to yourself. Because when you meet a man who is a decent human being, it is going to be that much harder to figure out whether you two are actually compatible, or if you are just not used to a man treating you with bare minimum respect. And when you add that onto a scarcity mindset, this idea that you need to choose the option in front of you because you do not believe that there is going to be a better fit coming your way, it is not shocking that there are people who are in unhappy relationships despite believing that they chose a good person.
Emotional damage.
That's just it, lady. Modern women aren't capable of ditching the all men are trash mindset. These broads actively go after men who are out of their league while ignoring the good men who will treat her with respect. She wants her fun. She wants her romance story. And she wants it all with what she thinks is the perfect man. And when she finds that man, he makes it crystal clear that she will go no further than a probationary member in his harem. And then she gets furious towards the men who don't want her and resents the men that do. She doesn't know how to feel any other way, which is why these broads panic when they realize they're starting to age out, and then they pick a guy who treats her halfway decently, only to turn around and divorce him because of something stupid like finding your most true and authentic self while going on a healing journey. Modern women have endlessly documented this time and time again. And then guys like me go on the internet and make a career documenting and archiving this footage until the end of time.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
Because two things can be true at once. Someone can be a kind, decent human being and still not be the right fit for you. Which is why it is so important to decenter men. Because when you are in this mindset where you are living a life and making a life that is fulfilling for you, you are not going to allow anyone to be your partner because you are going to be comfortable leaving that spot open for the right person instead of just anyone. Your life, your goals, your future are way too important for you to put at permanent risk because you based a decision off of temporary panic and pressure.
Remember, your biological clock is ticking.
All right, woman, if I gave you 20 intergalactic space bucks to accurately describe the man you've determined to be right for you, you'd give me a list of ambiguous adjectives combined with a series of blank stares. And that's because we both know that man does not exist. He never did. He's a figment of your imagination, created thanks to a combination of Disney movies, your crippling social media addiction, and that summer you were scheduled to be Ray McQueen's bed warmer every Tuesday at 2 a.m. until you were kicked out for being too needy. You've diluted yourself into thinking that there will always be someone better out there who will make you happy, so regardless of the man in front of you, you will always be on the lookout. This whole decentering men nonsense will never work because you will always depend on that man to bring you happiness because in your life, nothing is ever your responsibility, not even your own emotions. Now take that ring off of your face and go think about what you've done, woman. It's a septum, not a hand grenade.
Shut your dirty little mouth!
Top of the morning to ya. Kiss the Blarney Stone. This is a test of the emergency copyright protection system. If this were an actual emergency, I would fetch you a pint of Guinness and a sack of potatoes while drop kicking a chessboard and singing a song about a
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
You know what's funny to me? If she did that 4 years ago, then she could have been tried at The Hague for war crimes thanks to her unsanctioned use of biological warfare. But now it's just yet another example of how these modern thoughts have sold their souls to become members of the simp industrial complex. Yes, there's always going to be a loser out there who has too much money and will spend it on garbage like this, and there will always be thoughts who will be more than happy to oblige. But I wouldn't be flexing over this, sister. You may be making money now, but considering you're a modern woman and you have zero concept of how money works, in 5 years, you're not going to be making any money at all, and no self-respecting man will want to take care of you. But hey, it's your life. But don't be surprised if the intergalactic space god Moplobichert, all hail, sterilizes your city thanks to your less than clean behaviors.
You're a man. You don't like that women get harassed in the streets. You want to help. Awesome! You don't know how. That's okay. I do. Number 1, don't harass women in the streets. This includes whistling, following, unsolicited compliments, unsolicited contact, or berating them with questions and insults. Number 2, If you ever see a woman being harassed in the street, do something about it. Even just shouting over from the other side of the street or from a car could give a woman enough time to get away. Or pretend you know her. Like, hey, Chloe, is that you? God, it's been ages. If men think you know her, they'll leave her alone. 3. If you ever catch friends or family harassing people, defending harassment or harassers, and especially if it's just a joke, call them out on it and educate them and tell them that you won't tolerate it. 4. If you catch friends or family speaking deferentially about these issues, saying not all men, absolving themselves of guilt or responsibility, call them out on it and educate them. They are contributing to the problem when they aren't actively trying to solve it, because the statistics of women are going to stay the same unless men actually start doing something. Women are already doing everything they can.
Nope. That would be a waste of time.
If there is one catchphrase that these modern broads love to use in order to absolve themselves of any responsibility to do anything, it's the catchphrase, educate yourself. It's one of the dumbest and laziest weapons in their arsenal. They'll blabber on and on about random statistics, incidences, and news reports, but when you ask them to actually provide any type of concrete data to back up their claims, which is an incredibly reasonable ask, they'll turn around and say you must educate yourself because the information is obvious. Even though if it was obvious, there would be no need to educate myself. It would be common knowledge. So I'm not about to waste my time doing research on an imaginary oppression system that you created in order to get validation. Why should I bother? You don't. And all you do is complain on the internet and pretend to be a victim because you like to pretend that somebody whistled at you once.
5. If you have friends or family who are women who trust you, offer to give them rides or walk them home or to their car when you can. Check in with them to make sure they get home safe. Tell the women you know that they can always call you if they feel unsafe walking home and that you'll stay on the line until they get there. And then crucially, tell your friends and family that you do this and why you do it. 6. Try and open up a dialogue with family and friends about street harassment so that the women know that you're on their side and that you're listening, and so that the men know that you don't tolerate that kind of behaviour. And obviously educate your own children about street harassment, which is mostly in teaching children how not to harass people, but also how to stay safe. Discourage education on staying safe, which has been debunked, such as dressing a certain way. Also, if you have children or if you're a teacher yourself, talk to the school and see what they do for education around street harassment. Do they talk to the girls? If so, how? If it's victim blaming, make them work to change the way the education is. And do they talk to the boys at all? If not, make them start. Teaching young boys how not to harass and how to stand up to other boys is going to be the best way of stopping harassment in the future.
No.
Woman, have you seen the state of the Western public education system? All these people do is remind boys that if they so much as talk to a girl, then they are a misogynistic, racist, bigot Nazi who needs to read a bunch of books that are so filthy that quoting them at a school board meeting will get you arrested for disorderly conduct. And you're encouraging boys to stand up to other boys who flirt with girls, then aren't you just promoting toxic masculinity? You see the problem here? You're demanding massive societal changes to the household and the public education system because of catcalling and whistling, which aren't nearly as common of an occurrence as you like to believe. And I sincerely doubt they happen in your life. You just like to pretend they happen because you've built up this narrative inside your skull that you're a victim in a system that's designed to keep you oppressed, even though every single time you open your mouth to spew out gibberish, you're celebrated for it. And both of those things cannot exist at the same time.
Utilize social media, apps, neighborhood forums, anonymous reporting platforms, and the police to report instances of harassment when you witness them. If a woman tells you about harassment that she's experienced and she doesn't want to report it, find out ways that she can report that information anonymously without reliving that trauma, or you could even report it anonymously for her if she's comfortable, since it might help keep other women safe. Support legislation, policies, and politicians who advocate for women's safety in the streets. Be vocal about your support and why you support it on social media and in your social circles. Question local councils, governing groups, and politicians to ask them what they're doing about these issues, and if you have ideas, propose them. If you have questions, talk to women and get their advice. Women want your help. Take the advice and look for creative solutions. If the question is, what do I do? It's never nothing.
I wish I could help you here, but I just don't want to.
Wait a second, are you seriously trying to get people to petition local governments to make catcalling illegal? If this were to happen, what would constitute as quote-unquote street harassment? What if a guy whistles for his dog and you assume it's directed at you? Should that guy be arrested just to make you feel safe? What would be enough of a punishment for a guy who says 5 words to you as you're passing by? Should it be a fine, community service, or how about jail time? What would you need from the government in order to make you feel safe, and what would you be willing to give up for that safety? That seems to be an awful lot of work, and the selling out of people's rights to speak just so you can fool yourself into thinking you've made some difference in the world. But let's be real here. You could get every single thing you ever wanted on this earth, and you would still find a reason to bitch and moan because you have to feel like a victim, because without your victimhood complex, you're just an annoying, spoiled little brat. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell and leave a couple of comments and share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.